day, and welcome to this TNR Gold video news update. TNR is pleased to announce, in follow-up to its press release of November 12, 2012, when TNR Gold announced that it and its wholly owned subsidiary, Solitario Argentina in South America, had reached a settlement with McEwen Mining with respect to the Los Azules copper project located in San Juan Province. Formal documentation and the details have now been signed. The Los Azules deposit is one of the world's largest undeveloped copper deposits, according to McEwen Mining, ranking 7th in size and 5th in grade. And now here to give us the significance of this settlement is TNR CEO, Mr. Gary Schellenberg. Welcome, Gary.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
So, Gary, just what does the Los Azules settlement mean to TNR Gold?
Well, Kim, it restores our back-end right on one of the, as you stated, one of the world's largest copper deposits in the world. More precisely, the northern half of the deposit was historically on our ground, of which we had a back-end right on. That portion of the deposit, it actually holds the majority of the known deposit today. We're allowed to back in up to 25% on that northern half. If in fact we are diluted or have a less than a 5% interest on that portion of the property, we'll be diluted down to an NSR. So again, it gives our shareholders a long-term, upside potential here on this very, very large deposit.
Access to that property.
Exactly. Yep.
So for dummies like me, I want to ask you what exactly a back-end right is. But before that, does TNR Gold need to contribute any money to McEwen in order to maintain this back-end right? No,
not at all. Actually, the back-end right remains alive until such time a feasibility study is produced. It costs us absolutely no money at all. And at the time of back-end, then at that point, we would then contribute 2 times the proportion that was actually spent on the northern part to earn our percentage.
Okay. So the back end is simply a way to describe your access to that.
That's right. It's a long-term, it's an ability for us to benefit in the long term from this deposit.
So how do you calculate the value of that back end?
Well, it's been done, I believe McEwen had represented it as being the northern part of the deposit holding about 62% of the deposit as the current resources state. But there is a number of publicly available documents, not on our sites, but on McEwen Mining. They're the ones that are operator. They're the ones that are taking, generating all the technical data. But from their 43-101s at the McEwen site, it can be readily determined that I believe McEwen 62% is very close of the deposit, and the deposit is now well over 15 billion pounds of copper.
Well, it's substantial.
Substantial, yes.
So you always want to know if there's any risk involved with relation to this back-end right to TNR Gold. Is there any? Or what?
Not at all, actually. Again, because it's triggered at a feasibility study, and that's really the key. Feasibility study is a study that it essentially reduces the risk of management. It has gone through all the economic factors and to determine the profitability of this deposit. So at feasibility, we will have a number of factors that we can decide upon. We can either sell that back-end right to another major, and they can capitalize it, or we can finance the cost of the back end ourselves and essentially participate in the deposit, or we can elect to back in and reduce down below to an NSR and just ride on that. So there's a number of factors that are available to us. We could actually debt finance at that point in time. Again, the certainty of the feasibility should allow us to do a certain amount of debt financing with respect to this this deposit. So our options are wide open, including monetizing, as I mentioned earlier, of the entire back end. Right.
You used the term there, NSR. That means net smelter return. Is that something we should know?
That's correct. Yeah, net smelter return is essentially the net proceeds that are derived from the minerals from the deposit, less the cost of essentially the smelting costs, maybe some transportation costs and taxes. So it's essentially a percentage of the net mineral or metal content from that deposit.
And that's really the value of the
And that's really the value. There's a number of companies out there that essentially make their business on buying these royalties.
Okay.
So.
Are there any other assets that TNR gets as part of this deal?
Yeah, actually we were able to, as part of the settlement, receive 1 million shares in McEwen Mining, which enables us to essentially participate in the upside of ultimately McEwen Mining, who's developing a number of gold deposits worldwide. So that in itself was also a very good part of the settlement.
Okay, so McEwen owns the property. What would happen in the event that they decided to sell it?
Well, if they decided to sell that the deposit, our rights are maintained. They go. Okay. They're attached to the deposit itself. So our back-end right would stay intact.
Survive
okay. anything as we might move forward.
Well, that covers a lot of territory. I'm sure that's a lot to think about. Is there anything? What are the next steps for TNR?
Well, TNR, you know, our goal has always been let's start monetizing some of our assets.
Right.
Our next big, our big goal is to bring our shotgun gold deposit, you know, on stream. And I'm saying on stream, meaning back to the investor forefront. Last year we were very successful on going back and drilling our shotgun deposit in Alaska. We currently had a non-compliant resource of about 1 million ounces. We had some theories last year, but we wanted to see how big this deposit could really get. And we were very successful. We intersected in our very first hole 240 meters of 1.25 grams of gold. Again, very much a spectacular hole. Wow. What that hole did do was actually prove to us our theories on how it correlates, the mineralization is correlating very nicely with the geophysics. So we're very excited about that. Our theories have been proved up, and what our goal is right now is we do not want to dilute TNR. We want to monetize the assets. So what we want to do with our gold asset is fund this year's exploration outside of the company, whether through our subsidiary, and we're looking at all options of that now. Again, we want to preserve the value for our TNR shareholders, and really bring and maximize the assets and the value back to the shareholders. And we think by funding by funding our shotgun project outside of TNR itself into a subsidiary, separate the two, it can maximize it. We've been successful in doing that with our international lithium in the past, and we think the next step is to do that, maybe a similar thing here with shotgun.
Great. So with this in place, it sounds like you're ready to rock and roll, and that's good news for investors.
Well, we certainly hope so, and one of the big things is getting the word across and understanding, especially the significance of this lawsuit. I think it brings a lot of value to the shareholders, which again, in any situation like this, is very difficult for them to assess. So hopefully, today's news releases have been able to give our investors a little bit more knowledge on this company. Fantastic.
Well, thank you once again, Gary, for this update, and certainly for more information on these announcements and future announcements. TNR Gold, visit the TNR website at tnrgoldcorp.com, and certainly stay tuned to this channel
for
any future announcements, and thanks once again.
Thanks again, Ken. Thank you.